Tune in, episode 106, Between Two Bridges. We talk about debt and 50 years of it.
Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. This episode is brought to you by Wash. Sign up at pickupwashdeliver.com. Do the wash. Skip the hassle.
Episode 106, Between Two Bridges. Here in beautiful Pittsburgh, PA. Huh? I forgot how nasty cold weather sucked.
Sucks, man.
But we're not here to talk about the weather. We got other things about Pittsburgh. PA finally passed the budget.
They did.
Pierre was all excited. Big news, big news.
Yeah, little past due. Where do we send the penalty and interest calculation? Pennsylvania is so quick to send them to the taxpayers.
Yeah.
Where do we send the penalty and interest calculation is what I want to know.
You're a smart guy, man. You know government doesn't work like that. They do what they want to do. We touched a little bit about the federal shutdown, you know. Last episode, we thought probably by the time our last episode aired, that we would be done with that.
Yeah, I think we've said that for the last several episodes. By the next episode, by the time this airs, the government shutdown should be over. Well, maybe by the time this one airs.
I would hope.
I would hope. It is the longest one in U.S. history.
Our president would say it's huge.
Huge.
Very, very long.
This is huge. This one's huge. It is huge.
But you know, I've had a little bit of time to have like the TV on and background noise at the shop and like a little bit of downtime where I'm forced to sit still. And so I've been catching all, and I don't like to watch too much of one news channel, you know, because
too much indoctrination.
Yeah. But I did notice something that like the news media always wants to play the sympathy card. You know, COVID was people were dying. Now it's like people are going hungry.
They're starving. And people were starting like donations for, and I'm like, what in the fuck is going on? So I know that everybody has their own problems, but like I went to Sam's today and I bought a lot of shit that we needed because we've been busy. And like, I think my bill came to like $300, right? So that $300 is going to last us a really long time. And we're a family of 4. I can't imagine if I had to blow $1,500 a month at the grocery store, what that would look like. It's like, you could buy shit just to buy shit. And I know grocery prices are high, but if you shop with your own money, you're going to shop a little bit better. Differently?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've all been behind that person at the grocery store that's getting very expensive items.
I've run into
soda and steaks, name brand.
I was at Coons Market on McKnight Road.
And then they pull out that old access card.
Right. I'll never forget it. I was at Coons on McKnight Road. We were in line. It was just me and Reese. We only needed a couple things. But there was like a family with 2 carts in front of us. And they were like, it was like the only line open, whatever. And I remember Reese saying like, why can't we get all that? And I didn't have it in my heart to explain it to her. You know what I mean? I was just like, it kind of hurt my feelings. I was like, because we work too much. We make just a little bit.
What do you mean? We did.
Yeah. I was working for myself at that time, treating it like a job. So I was just over broke, you know, and like, I was like, you know, that is, I mean, and it doesn't take a genius to figure it out. She was like 4.5 at the time. So yeah, it's not to say, I mean, I understand. Like
there are people on the program that absolutely need 100%. It before we get canceled and absolutely demolished in the comments. It is not a blanket statement that it's just 100% abused, but there are people on that are abusing it.
Right.
And I know that, you know, growing up, I remember going to the grocery store and my parents having to do the math and make sure that we had enough money for what was in the cart. And God forbid something was mismarked and the price was wrong, and all of a sudden we didn't have enough money for what was in that cart. And then all of a sudden we're having to figure it out or put something back because there's not enough money in the account
to cover everything that's on that counter.
100%.
And what it was is really, and we're buying generic products, Giant Eagle brand soups and.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't like families of luxury where we're like, oh, we only eat. It was like there's 3 different like ranch dressings. It's just like whatever the cheapest of the 3 is.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't buying name brand stuff, but there's abuse on that program, and we sat down with Dan and talked a lot about wellness and diet and trying to live a healthier lifestyle. And there's a whole argument to be had on whether or not some of that unhealthier food should even be covered by that program, because we are subsidizing, in a lot of cases, just straight up poison. Should soda be paid for by taxpayer dollars? There is no nutritional benefit to soda. There is no nutritional benefit to Doritos. Should that stuff be subsidized by taxpayer dollars? Should oatmeal cream pies be paid for by taxpayer dollars? Or should maybe just fruit and vegetables and milk and things that are at Whole Foods? Because honestly, that would probably make the costs go up in some of those areas. But the bottom line is, there are arguments to be had where certain areas that are more depressed neighborhoods, those people are unhealthier because of the diet that they're eating, because that's the shit that they're consuming.
Well, pop was a no-go when I was like pretty young. And then like my gram got tired, dude. She didn't want to argue. So like I had free reign on like Mountain Dew and Cherry Pepsi at my house. And you know what suffered? My teeth suffered.
Yeah.
My health suffered. So now
it's poison.
Yeah. So now at 30, 39, 40 years old, I'm getting $20,000 worth of dental work.
Yeah.
So think about that in those communities. Like you're kicking the can down the road. So you're giving them whatever they want, but they're eating unhealthy. And now they have gut health issues. They have all these health issues.
Yep.
But guess what? They're getting government health care. So I just think that
there are so many costs that snowball out of control.
Right.
Because of those poor choices, because of diet.
Right. And I heard a guy today when I was like eating lunch, they were talking, he had that gastric bypass surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the other guy that he was talking to was getting ready to have it. And he said, well, it cuts down on your portion size because you literally can't eat as much as you want to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking like, what a concept. Like we're having these surgeries. The medical field has decided to put you into a bad situation, essentially.
Yeah, but that's only half the battle.
Right. You're going to have to discipline yourself.
But portion size is, a huge part of eating healthier.
Right.
But there's a lot of studies like with like the people that are on like the GLP-1s, the Ozempics, the gastric bypass, a lot of those kind of things, that people are losing weight, but they're actually getting fatter because they're eating less, but they're still eating shit.
Right.
So they're still eating just trash. They're eating high carb, fatty foods. So even though their weight, their overall pounds are going down, their fat content is not going down. Their bone density is going down. Their muscle weight is going down, but their fat is actually going up because they're not replacing they're not adjusting the amount of protein and good healthy fats in their diet. They're just eating less quantity, but they're still eating garbage. So maybe they're not eating a whole pizza, they're just eating half of a pizza. But maybe you don't want to eat a pizza. Maybe you want to eat a chicken salad and a slice of pizza. and you need to change your lifestyle. You need to change what you're putting in your system. It's about what you eat, not necessarily how much of it you eat. It's all about re-educating yourself on what you're actually consuming. And we talked about it with Dan.
The food pyramid.
The food pyramid, it's upside down.
Yeah.
There's so much misinformation about what is actually healthy that people just are uneducated.
Yeah, and
it's
I
not their
also
fault.
think that in the back where they like the daily dosage and your recommendations and stuff, I feel like that's probably pretty antiquated because I think that the world needs to be dumbed down, right?
Yeah.
So I think that they could probably explain that a little bit.
Probably could,
better.
but most people don't read that.
Yeah,
and if
true.
you turn around and looked at it, like, have you ever looked at it like a pack of Oreos and looked at like what the serving size is? It's like 2 Oreos.
Yeah,
When was the last time you sat down and had 2? Most people are like, oh, I can't eat 1 row of them.
I learned how to use a fork to eat them and was like, it's over, dude.
It's game time.
We're eating 2
Like,
dozen.
Right. Like nobody sits down and eats 1 serving size of Oreos. They're going to eat a container of Oreos, and that's not sustainable.
Correct.
You know?
And, you know, if you do it every once in a while, it's fine. You know.
Yeah, just not every night.
But if every night your go to bed routine is eat a sleeve of Oreos, it'll catch up to you.
Right.
You know, it's funny you say that because my stepdad, he was always a big he drank a lot of Sprite back in the day, a lot of he didn't like caffeine. He just didn't need it. He was one of those people. But he had a bedtime routine where he ate like 2 or 3 Chips Ahoy cookies. And then he was eating those like pre-made like gas station apple pies that are like in the wax paper. And he started feeling like shit and his like vision started getting fucked up. Like, so he went to the doctor but they caught, he like, first of all, he doesn't drink. So like, but he knows his body and is a very disciplined human that when he caught it, he was able to like kind of just lean back out of diabetes, but he was on his way.
Yeah.
But his sister like has been almost losing a foot for a decade, you know, and his brother has since passed because they didn't have that I don't know. It's weird. It's weird how people in the same household.
Yeah. Diabetes is crazy. I mean, Amber's type 1 diabetic. She was diagnosed when she was 16. So I'm all too familiar with that. In fact, I don't know if anybody on the episode, any of our listeners caught it, but
With Carrie,
when Carrie was here, we're sitting here listening to her, and I heard an alarm going off. And every time she was talking, I'd hear this blop, blop, blop. And I'm like, I need to ask her about that, but I don't want to interrupt her.
Yeah.
And every time it would go off, she'd be like in the middle of talking. And I'm like, I can't interrupt her, but I need to find a time to ask her, is your sugar low? Because I knew that she was diabetic. And I finally found an opportunity, and it was actually very low. So we had to get her something to bring her sugar back up. But I am very familiar with that life. But actually, a number of years ago, my dad was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and my wife actually discovered it because there were a couple days that he was drinking a lot, and he was drinking like peach iced tea, which is like the worst thing, but it, you know, just tons of sugar, and just drinking them. And he just kept saying, man, I'm just so thirsty. I just can't get enough. Just drinking them, drinking them.
I thought you were going to say like he was drinking Angel's Envy. He was just getting hammered.
Just iced tea, just throwing them back. And Amber was like, you need to check your sugar. And he's like, what do you mean? And she's like, you're drinking a lot and there might be something wrong. And he's like, really? So because she's diabetic, she had a glucometer. So she checked his sugar, and it was so high that it wouldn't read on the glucometer. It just said high.
Hi, how are you?
it said high, which it will read up to like, I think 600. So it was like high, it's time to go to the emergency room, kind of high.
That's one of my favorite videos on the internet, when that lady gets pulled over and the cop goes, how high are you? And she goes, oh, hi, how are you?
So it was, and he was like, oh, I have a doctor's appointment next week. And she's like, no, like you need to go to the emergency room like now.
Yeah. Diabetes was a contributing factor to my father's death because he was overweight. He was diagnosed as a diabetic. They gave him like medication and stuff. He was old school, refused to take it. And, you know, if he was around now, he'd take it.
Yeah, I mean, the diabetic ketoacidosis will kill you.
Yeah, and you think about 2000 to like 2025, like that 25-year window, we know a lot more. Like the internet has been a tool to teach us a lot more. You know?
Hell yeah.
We talked about it with the finances with our kids, you know, like trying to invest money for their future because of compounding interest, and like we know a thing or two now, and it's easy to find out the answers.
Yep.
So recently you sent me something. It was like all the buzz, I guess, is a little bit of an argument within financing. Is they're going to extend, they want to talk about doing an extension on the mortgages. 30-year mortgage has been traditional, right?
Yeah, 30 years been traditional. 30-year mortgage has been the 30 or 15, right? 30's been pretty much standard. 15 if you're very aggressive and you can afford it.
But people were living longer, right? So that's their thought process.
They've been living longer, and also it's getting harder and harder for people to afford to get a home. Is the argument. And as of the recording of this a few days ago or last week, President Trump dropped a comment that they are considering a 50-year mortgage option, and he basically lit the media on fire with it. People are all wound up.
His staff is like, all right, do it today.
Yeah,
like
today's the day.
Yeah,
it's a slow media day. Let's just make everybody crazy.
I wish there was an announcement that Wash could make
to just piss
to
everybody
generate
off.
That much publicity.
Yeah. So apparently, the FHA chairman was already working on it. It's already been kind of in the process. So he kind of confirmed that it was something that they had already been considering. So obviously in my professional life, my network on social media is a lot of real estate investors, real estate agents, mortgage people. I live in the real estate world, right? Everybody is all wound up. And I would say like 90% of them are like, this is crazy. Everybody's all pissed off about it. And the general consensus with it is you are going to pay so much more interest over the life of that loan. This is so irresponsible. This is a terrible thing for consumers. Just absolutely horrendous. It's going to bury people in debt. They're never going to have any equity. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I have a little bit of a unique perspective. And then I had some conversations with some people and did a little bit of research. And then I realized it's one of those things that when you start to follow the money, you realize that it's not what anybody is actually paying any attention to. Okay. So we're going to break it all down. Okay. So first of all, here's the deal. When I first saw this and I saw all the uproar about it, I thought, well, I don't really see it as that big of a deal, because here's the thing. The majority of people never, I don't want to say never, times have changed.
Right.
Okay. A lot of people, first of all, buy a house and don't stay in it for 30 years.
Correct.
I think statistically I read most people move out of a house within 8 years. Okay. If they don't move out, most people have that mortgage refinanced within the first 15, whether to get a better rate, whether to pull equity, to pay off other debt, whatever. Most 30-year mortgages do not last 15 years.
Correct.
Okay. So the idea that somebody is going to pay all this interest and it's going to last 50 years most mortgages don't even reach full maturity of the 30 because people don't stay in a home for 30 years.
Yeah, there's no more. They used to have parties, burn the book parties.
Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah. When's the last time you were invited to one of those?
Right. Here's the other thing. It's hard for people to get into a home now because of affordability. And if you have been able to get into a home in the last 10 years and you have all kinds of equity right now, you don't have equity because you paid down your mortgage.
Correct.
You have equity because of appreciation on that home. Housing has gone up tremendously in the last 10 years. That if you weren't lucky enough to get into a home in the last 10 years, you've missed the boat on.
Right.
So the idea that if you have a 50-year mortgage, you're never going to have any equity, well, probably not. Because even with a 30-year mortgage, the first 5 years of that mortgage, you're really just paying interest anyway.
Right.
Any appreciation you're going to get in the first 5 years on a 30-year mortgage is probably going to be a appreciation on that property, just the value of the property going up. Now, and whether it's a 30-year mortgage or a 50-year mortgage, you still run the same risk of that property going down because of a housing market crash or the property value staying stagnant or whatever. That may happen whether it's a 30 or a 50-year mortgage. It really doesn't make any difference. So I don't really know that it really is that big of a deal. The one argument that I read was that housing prices are going to go up because when affordability goes up, like if more people are able to afford it because payments go down,
it becomes a seller's market.
It becomes a seller's market, prices go up. That's valid, and that will eventually correct. And,
look at the automobile market.
Yeah, I mean,
who the fuck would ever thought a standard SUV would be $80,000?
Right. I mean, it's supply and demand, and that's what happens.
That was the 6 year. You go from 3 years to buy a car to 6. The manufacturers aren't dumb. They're like, these people can
if you can afford it.
Now they go to 8.
And when banks are willing to lend, that's the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you've got, and it's that whole subprime thing. I mean, whenever banks are giving subprime loans, and they still to this day are giving subprime auto loans. They're giving people auto loans with 550 credit scores. I mean, that's what happens. Okay. So, that's why default rates are through the roof. That's why repossessions are through the roof. That's what happens. Okay. That's why these manufacturers are able to sell a freaking SUV for $100,000 because the banks are willing to lend. When the banks start drying up, they're going to have to reduce the prices because nobody's going to fucking buy them.
Right. And I don't want to get too far off track here, but that's exactly what happened to healthcare.
That's what happened to healthcare.
Well, yeah.
That's what happened to tuition.
Yeah. When the government starts injecting a ton of money into something, every business in the world is like, wait, we're busier now than we've ever been. Let's raise our prices.
Whenever the government subsidizes it, whenever the banks lend, then the businesses, whether it's small business or large business, usually it's large business whenever this kind of shit happens, they see an opportunity to be able to raise prices because there's guaranteed revenue. Because the banks will lend, because the government will subsidize. So they can raise prices because they know that the banks will provide the money or the government will provide the money. Right. That's what happens.
Did GM ever give 0% financing on a Corvette?
Not on a Corvette. They'll give it. I mean, they still give. They're giving low rates because they're trying to move inventory. Yeah.
Yeah. But when the new Corvette was coming out, it's just like you
supply
never
and demand.
You never see watermelon on sale on the 4th of July.
No, but they do that kind of shit to move inventory.
Right.
So whenever they have a new model coming out and they know it, but you don't, right? They give good lease rates. But they're usually, if you ever see a 2-year lease on a vehicle with a really strong rate, that means that next year they have a new model coming out.
They're changing the front end.
They're changing the model.
Different. Yeah.
So they want you in a short lease so that you can get the new one, but they're trying to move that inventory so they can get it the fuck off the lot.
Yep.
That's the telltale sign.
Make someone else, it's their problem.
Exactly. Get it off the lot, but get it in a short lease so that you come back next year and get the new one.
Yeah. So I think
anyway,
when we talk about these mortgages though, there's a lot of different moving parts in that. But to me, it's like, all right, we're kicking the can down the road. That's just the way we were raised.
Right.
Like it's kind of how our generation operates.
Yeah. But there's always more to the story, right? So I had a conversation because I'm thinking, I don't see why this is that big of a deal. So I reached out to a friend of mine that is very involved in banking. And I said, am I looking at this wrong? I don't see why this is such a big deal. Why is everybody all wound up about it? And they said, banks aren't going to do that deal. That's a Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac deal. Yeah. And it's going to be for bonds. It's going to be for this. And he started explaining to me, and they need it for their balance sheet. He started explaining it to me, and then I'm like, and it all clicked. So I started to do some reading.
Yeah.
Let me explain this to you.
Okay. I'm ready. I want to hear this.
So a traditional bank is never going to do a 50-year loan. Traditional banks don't typically hold a 30-year loan. No. They sell that shit.
The day you close, they sell it.
The day you close, they sell that shit. Couple reasons. One is it's a fixed rate loan.
Correct.
First, right? So if they're doing a fixed rate loan at 4.5%, they don't want to take the risk of holding a 4.5% rate for 30 years. Because what happens to that rate in 30 years? It moves, right?
Yeah, and who knows which way.
Exactly. So they don't want to take the risk that rates go up and they're going to start losing money on that 4.5%. They don't want to lock that rate for 4.5%. So they're going to sell that loan because they're going to make their money now. They basically just made origination fees.
Right.
They're going to make a little bit of money on the sale and they move on with the asset.
And a lot of these banks have bills due every 30 days also.
Exactly.
So
the other reason they sell that shit is because you're a good credit risk today. You're going to be probably a good credit risk tomorrow, but 5 years from now, you might lose your job.
Right.
People flake. You might be great now, but 5 years from now, you might develop a really bad gambling addiction and you may be a complete fucking lowlife.
Right.
And they don't want to hold that note.
Or you could be dead.
Or you could be dead.
Right.
Exactly. And they don't want that risk. So 30 years is a long time. They don't want that note.
Right.
So they sell it. So a traditional bank is not going to hold a note for 50 years.
And I don't blame them.
Don't blame them at all. So where does that note go? That note goes to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which is backed by
the feds.
The feds, right. So the federal government is going to back these loans, right? And what do they do with it? They bundle them up into a mortgage-backed security.
Who do they sell it to?
They sell it to investment brokers and to foreign governments.
Yeah, I was going to say, not only
in bonds.
Correct.
Right. So investment bankers love it because it is consistent revenue stream, because it is real estate backed, insured, and it's consistent income every month, which investment holders love it because it's consistent income. It's bonds. It's federally backed. It's insured. It's beautiful, consistent money for the next 30 to 50 years. And foreign governments love it because it's backed by the US of A.
You know what else it's backed by? The dirt on the ground.
Exactly. Which there is a limited supply of.
Right.
Right. So do you know what else it helps the government with? That big ass fucking deficit. And it helps them increase it. So they now have a new product, a new 50-year mortgage that they can now offer as a mortgage-backed security through Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, that they can now sell bonds to foreign governments, which in turn will allow the federal government to increase our deficit even larger.
And not only that, like, let's just say 40% of America is having a problem with their mortgage payment right now. Right. Well, if you offer this new product, 40% might line up to refinance at 50 years.
Yep. Lower their payment by $300 a month.
At least.
Right. Now they're going to lower their payment. They've got a whole new product to sell. It's going to make the housing market go up because now it's going to bring a whole new line of borrowers. And I don't know if you also saw in the news, Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae just dropped the credit score requirement to borrow money.
Bada boom, bada bang.
So now,
see, and we don't want to wear foil hats in here.
So it's twofold, okay? It's going to spur the housing market, which also helps the federal government, okay, because it's going to spur the market. It's going to be able to create a new product for more mortgage-backed securities, which is going to increase lending to foreign governments and to investment brokers, which is going to allow them to sell more bonds, which will in turn allow them to raise capital for the feds. And they can do it while being disguised behind the fact that they're going to try to make it easier and more affordable for more Americans to buy a home. And they get to hide behind that fact, which is all bullshit.
Right. Well, and I've said it on here before, like, I've always had this theory where, like, we just slide the decimal point. That's the way we've done it for the last 100 years in America. Bread was a penny, it was a dime, it's $1. Our kids will pay 10, right? So the American dream was to buy a home, white picket fence, get your 30-year mortgage, try to pay it off in 15, and go off into the sunset. You know, this is just moving the field goal post, you know? So, like, yeah, we bought $1 million home. We got 50 years to pay it off. You're 30 years old. You'll pay it off when you're 80. It becomes a fixed expense to you. It doesn't really matter. The other thing that I see with a 50-year mortgage is the longer the house is inside of a mortgage, like a bank, someone's paying that mortgage, local taxes are getting paid. School, you know, people that are just paying the escrow. So that secures that kind of end of it. So I don't think that it's all bad, to me personally.
No, you're right. It's not all bad. It's fine. You know, people are going to be, you know, it's fine. And honestly, it could end up, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. I don't love the fact that it gives them an avenue to potentially raise the deficit.
Correct.
I do not like that. I don't have a problem with people if they're educated and have an understanding of what a 50-year mortgage looks like. The idea that, oh my God, they're going to be paying double the interest. Well, of course they are. It's almost double the length of time in the fucking mortgage.
Yeah, they're like bold too. They're not like, hey, let's just add a 40-year option.
No, it's 50. I mean, it's a long time, but a 40 years not probably going to lower the payment that much. You know?
No,
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it's probably not going to move the needle enough to make it that big of an impact where people are going to be like,
Yeah, what do they say? Like, if you can send like an extra 2 payments a year,
yeah,
especially in the first 5,
right,
you can cut it down like significantly.
Here's the way I look at it, you know, and I had a conversation with somebody about this, just bullshitting about it. I'm a believer, like, for instance, with my truck, you know, I understand, like, I have clients and friends that like refuse to take out a loan on a vehicle for 84 months. They're like, that's crazy. I would never finance a vehicle for 84 months. Yeah, I get that. You know, my truck was brand new, and I understand why somebody would not want to finance a vehicle for 7 years. I mean, the warranty's not that long, and that's fine. I have a lot of equity in my truck. If I finance the whole thing, I agree. I wouldn't want that because you'd be upside down. There's no way not to be. I financed my vehicle for 84 months. The way I looked at it is, I'm not making my minimum payment. Right? I'm making the payment like it is a much shorter term. But if shit goes south for me, I can make that 84-month payment.
Yeah.
And give myself a break for a month or two.
Yeah, you're trying to pay it off in 3, you know, whatever.
Yeah. But I also have, because I had a truck that was paid off, and then trucks hold their value, and I was in good shape, and I rolled a bunch of positive equity, and, you know, the way I do things and I pay extra, I'm way ahead.
Right.
So, like, I'm not upside down, and I financed like 2/3 of what that truck is worth. So, like, I don't have to worry about it. So financing that thing for 7 years didn't really make any fucking difference to me.
Right.
So I look at this the same way. Like, if I'm going to buy a new house, yeah, maybe I am going to finance it for 50 years. I'm not necessarily going to make the minimum payment. My house is financed for 30. I don't make the minimum payment. Just like what you said, there's a calculation that if you make that extra, you take that monthly payment, you divide it up, and you make just that little bit more per month, you can cut that 30-year mortgage down to like 17.
Right.
So you just pay ahead.
And the other thing is, if you, like you said, like, if it's Christmas is around the corner, Christmas is coming, we have all these expenses for Christmas, and you're like, well, I won't send the extra this month. because I've done it for the last 11 months. Like you had a Substack article or a question on your personal page today about what do you wish they would teach kids in school?
Right.
And money seemed to be like one of the number one answers because we don't teach. We went from a culture where we don't even talk about money. Mara, we talked about this, but like you need to understand it. You know what I mean? Like it's okay to like play the game a little bit with money. You got to be able to take it from here and use it to make more of it. Yeah. You got to be able to know when you make more of it that it's not found.
and here's a perfect example of that. You have all these people that are in an uproar right now because you're going to spend all this extra money in interest. But let's look at something, okay? If you put money into the S&P 500, the average rate of return on the S&P 500 over like 20-year span is like 8 to 10%. But mortgage rates for a home right now is like 5 3/4.
Right.
So if you took a 50-year mortgage at 6%, okay, and it saved you $300 a month.
Right.
But you took that $300 a month that you saved and you put it in the S&P 500 and got 8%.
You're ahead of the game.
You're ahead of the game by 2%.
Yeah, not to mention, is it wrong, like maybe we're a little bit on our high horse because we're older, but is it wrong for someone that like works hard and it's like their dream, they should own a house? It'd be nice like to raise your family in a house and you're going to work your ass off and you're going to do it for 50 years anyway.
Right.
So give them something to work for.
Yeah.
Maybe like when we talk about these people with the grocery carts full of food and it's broken, we know this. Everybody knows the system's broken.
Yeah.
The people on the system, the people that aren't on, everybody knows it's broken, but nobody wants to speak up about fixing it.
Right.
But maybe if that person, like the goals are obtainable, you move the goal line back a little bit for a little bit, and you make it obtainable for a family that's just getting by to buy a house.
Right.
And they know they're signing on in blood for 50 years.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing for people to think about. And everybody's so like, I don't want to refinance my house right now because I have a 3% mortgage. Everybody, I don't want to sell my house. I got a 3% mortgage. I don't want to refinance. I got a 3% mortgage. Okay. Here's what I want you to really think about. Okay. If you have a 3% mortgage on your house, okay, and your house has gone up in value, but things are really bad right now because the economy's fucked, right? Cost of living has gone through the roof, wages are down, and you've got a mountain of fucking credit card debt over here that you're paying 30% on. Hey, asshole, refinance your house.
Why you gotta talk to me like that?
Refinance your house and take the 6% mortgage and wipe out that credit card debt.
Yeah, I think we think like that, and like that's something that I'm starting to entertain going into the new year, but like I don't think that people are willing to bet on themselves as much.
Yeah. You know, I think people are so stuck on this, like interest rates on houses were 3% and that's a good rate. Now I can't, in 30 years that's what it's supposed to be. But listen, everybody seems to be okay with the fact that Capital One's charging you 29.99%, but you're not willing to pay your Wells Fargo on your mortgage 6%.
Yeah.
Well, what are you doing?
Yeah,
or GM Financial on a car loan's 4.9%. For what are you doing?
Which is a movable asset. You can't sell your credit card debt.
Right.
You can't take everything you bought on a credit card and be like, all right, I'm going to sell it all.
Yeah.
And then I'll pay them the difference.
Well, I'm not going to finance my vehicle for 7 years for 4.9%, but you're paying Capital One for the rest of your fucking life
forever.
For 29.99%.
Look at the statement. The Fed's made them put it on the statement. If you make the minimum payment, you're going to pay for 21 years.
Right.
Right. This is what you're going to pay.
Yeah.
But like.
Well, I'm not going to finance for 84 months.
Yeah.
You're going to finance your credit card for 21 goddamn years.
Yeah, it's insanity. Well, like in like a credit score, like, I mean, if you have a 700 credit score, you can do whatever you need to do to make it make sense. Like that's what those debt consolidation companies do. They also work with lenders. I mean, that's the number one move to get people out of credit card debt. They'll say, oh, I've never done it, but like I've read a little bit about it. what they'll do is they'll say, okay, we can consolidate your debt. We'll save you $800 a month. All they're doing is writing you a loan for the credit card debt.
Right.
And then they're taking away all those fees in the back end. You know, it's a program that makes sense,
Right.
but there is no education on it.
Right.
There's someone that's going to listen to this that is in a really bad spot and thinks there's nowhere to go and that they just got to keep working hard. And it's like, maybe call your bank.
Yeah, maybe call your bank and listen, over the last 5-10 years, real estate prices have gone up so much. And you may be sitting on a ton of equity on your home. And I know it's hard to understand and hard to wrap your head around getting rid of that 3%, 2.75% mortgage. Well, I can't get rid of that. I mean, I'm going to have to pay 6% on my mortgage, but you're paying 30% on the credit card, and you will never pay it off. Refinance the house, take the 6% mortgage, because here's the thing. You can always refinance the mortgage to the house again.
Right. And I don't know what that does to I don't know what it does to your credit score. I've never experienced or ever gone through that, but I can only imagine that if you refinance, you put that into like that real estate debt category.
Oh, it'll make your credit score jump through the roof.
And then you keep those accounts open.
You go through the roof.
Yeah. But the thing I would say to people is don't forget how you feel right now when that goes away. So every month, pay those credit cards off.
Yeah.
Don't snowball it. Like,
don't do it again.
Yeah. Like you get one get out of jail free card kind of with banks.
You can't do it again.
Yeah.
Do not go back on those credit cards. Like you get one get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
Look at yourself in the mirror and realize I'm the problem.
Yeah. Like a year ago, I had gotten a new credit card and like you can set it up for auto pay. Mm-hmm. And I just clicked pay the statement, like the monthly statement, because you play that game in your head. You're like, I'll send them $250. Well, then $60 carries over, you know, and you do $60 a month carrying over. Next thing you know, you got $700 in debt, you know, in a lot of cases, it's not $60, you know, it's $1,000, you know. Yeah. So you just click that, boom. Like, and for small business owners, like fuel cards, get a fuel card, pay it off at the end of the month. Don't just use the bank's money.
You know, a little secret? I'm going to let our listeners in on a little secret.
Oh, shit. Hold on. Can I get a beer for this?
Thank you for listening. And now a brief word from our sponsor. You've got a full plate. Kids, meetings, workouts, side hustles. There's better things to do than laundry. Introducing Wash, laundry reimagined for the modern world. Schedule your pickup in seconds via the convenient web app. Wash picks up your clothes, cleans with care, and brings them back fresh and ready to wear. But it's more than garments. From bedding and table linens to shoes, hats, purses, and more. Wash handles all your life's fabric, leaving you more time to do you. Visit pickupwashdeliver.com and see how convenient it can be to do the wash. And now, back to the show.
Proceed with the chlorophyll.
Here's a little secret. Figure out when your statement date is on your credit card.
Oh, yeah. Our Destiny talked about this.
And schedule your automatic payment to pay the statement date 1 week before that. That way, whenever your credit card company reports your balance to your credit report, it always reports it as a zero.
Yeah. You want to say it again and look right at the camera, because that's some useful information I think everybody should know.
Figure out, I don't know, what camera?
Pick a camera, any camera.
That one looks like me. Figure out when your statement date is on your credit card. Schedule your payment, your automatic payment, for 1 week before that, for the exact amount of your statement. That way, when your credit card company reports your balance to the credit card bureau, your credit bureau, it always reports as a zero. And then your credit will always be good.
Yeah, and those are like, I mean, I really like the hacks. Like, I really like to learn they showed me how to fill a mop bucket up with a dustpan the other day, and I was like, that's fucking cool.
That's the hack.
But that's a credit hack.
Because if you have a credit card that you always use for business, right?
Right.
And say it's got a $5,000 limit, and you always get it close to the limit, and then you pay it off every month. Well, what ends up happening is every month it's going to report at $5,000, and then you pay it off, but it's always going to report at $5,000.
Right.
So it looks like it's always maxed out when it's not. It's always paid off. So always just pay it off. And then when it reports to the credit bureau, it's going to look like it's always at zero.
And they're all in it together. Minimum payments are due a certain time of the month because of when they want to report, and and there's on time, then there's late, and then there's fucking reported late. Mm-hmm. Don't ever get reported late.
No. 30 days. You don't want 30 days late, dude.
If you're struggling, and I've learned this a little bit in life, if you're struggling, write the fucking check, send the check, but you can send it a little late, but just don't not send the fucking check.
Yeah.
The check's got to be on its way. You can't get the phone call and then say, I'm going to send the check now. Because if the check shows up, and especially with mortgages, if the check shows up a little too late, you might have a great rate. And that's going to kick you into another rate. And then you're battling.
Especially with credit cards. Credit cards, they have a default rate. Ooh, boy, you think at 29.99 is bad.
Yeah. And that's not on what you spend after.
No,
that's on what you spend forever ago.
How about those 0%? All those, like, if you go to like Home Depot or Best Buy or whatever like that, and it's like 0% for 6 months. Do you ever go over 6 months in one day?
I haven't, but you got to watch, because also when you're paying your card, you got to pay attention to what you're paying sometimes. Because like on the Lowe's card, it'll tell you have 21 days remaining, and the balance is $693 towards that. So you've got to get that paid, or else you'll go all the way back to when you bought the washer and dryer.
Exactly.
And then the next month, your minimum payment's fucking like $7. You're like, what?
Now, you know what I noticed? So I had, and I just paid it off, but I had I bought some tools from Home Depot that were on special, I don't know, back in July or something. And it was 6 month, 0%, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, I just paid it off. It wasn't due. The 6 months was up in December, but I just paid it off. My payoff was like $1,400. Okay.
What kind of tools you buy?
It was just a bunch of
drilling
Milwaukee.
for diamonds.
It was like a bunch of Milwaukee shit.
You would be a Milwaukee guy.
I decided to switch it all up. Went all Milwaukee.
Oh boy.
So anyway,
don't tell Charlotte Hayward.
Why?
Corey, her son's like the territorial rep for DeWalt.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. She said it right here on air. He's my favorite Hayward son because of that. Because I'm a DeWalt guy.
You're a DeWalt guy? Dude, I like my Milwaukee shit, dude. That's badass.
It's all better than Rehobie.
Well, yeah. Anyway, did you ever notice when you do one of those 0% interest deals, the amount that they report to the credit bureau is the amount plus all the interest? Even though the interest isn't due? So my payoff was like $1,400, but if you go on the Experian app, it said that I owed like $1,670.
I never did notice that. I mean, we did it with a washer and dryer. That's the only reason I ever paid attention to it. And then when we were doing work at the new store, I was like, I got that. I kind of forgot I had a Lowe's card, which is probably not bad. But then when I was buying trim and paint, and I went there, it was like $1,100 in trim and paint. Dude was like, do you want 5% off now or 0% finance for 6 months? And I'm thinking, the interest rate on a Lowe's credit card's got to be 25%, 30%.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
I'm like, so I'll just make 2 payments and we're good. And then I was looking at the statement recently, and it said, like, this is your remaining balance on your 0% from now until the December 20th.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's all spelled out for you.
Yeah, they do a good job.
But they don't like send you an email to remind you. Like if you're set up on an auto pay, you're getting waxed. I got waxed with Verizon, so they weren't too bad about it. But so I had the store on McKnight, right? And we had Verizon Fios there. And then I do Verizon Wireless. And then we have the plant down in Sharpsburg. We have Verizon Fios. Got the new shop. We had Verizon. We had a Gateway, which is a wireless 5G thing. So my statement every month says Verizon, 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 and Verizon's getting paid. They're taking plenty a month from me. Well, like 2 months ago, I get a call or an email from Verizon saying I owe them money. So I'm like, that's strange. I look in the bank statement. I'm like, Verizon got paid. Well, then I closed that bank account that was auto paying them. I made sure we paid everything. Turns out I paid them
for 11 months on the account on McKnight Road. Like the $99.99 a month or whatever. So I'm like, I couldn't figure it out. I really like probably should be more proactive in it, but they were like, we're going to cancel your service. I'm like, cancel the service. They're going to call me from the shop and say they don't have email. They're going to call me from the production plant and say they don't have email, or like the internet's not working. But like nothing stopped working. So I'm like, and then I thought about it and I was like, oh, fuck. When I did the gateway thing, they said they'd cancel it and they didn't. So then I wanted to get hardwired internet in Cheswick, and I call Fios back. And we go this whole like rigmarole. And they were like, we can only credit you like $185. And I'm like, well, it's better than nothing. We got to keep moving forward in life. It's my fault, like at the end of the day. And they were like, we'll be there Wednesday to hook up the internet. I'm like, great. Well, Wednesday comes and they were going to be there between 10 and noon. When 1 o'clock comes, I'm like, call these fuckers. So I call them. I'm like, hey, nobody showed up to hook up my internet. They're like, oh, you're on a credit hold. I'm like, oh, what? They're like, oh, yeah, we need to verify, like, you owe us $185. I'm like, can you look again? Because, like, I'm pretty sure they gave me a credit for that. And the lady was like, oh, yeah, you're good, and hung up the phone. And I'm like, these fuckers would have put me into collections had I not called to set up the new internet service.
When I moved here, I had Verizon at my old office. I moved here. They don't have Verizon here.
Oh, that was the original problem in Cheswick. They didn't have Fios in Cheswick when I moved there.
So they had to let me out of my contract because they couldn't provide the service. Okay. So I got Comcast here, reluctantly. So I called, said, well, then cancel the Verizon there because I'm moved. Okay, fine. They didn't. They continued to bill. They took it out of my account for 2 more months. I called. I said to cancel it.
What a pain in the ass, too. It's an hour.
Yeah. They said, oh, okay. They still didn't. They took it out another month. I went online. I logged back in. I saw access. I shut off the auto pay. I said,
you can call me now.
I'll wait for them to call me.
Right.
So they did. I answered, and they said, you owe us money. I said, no. I asked you twice now to cancel this service, and you haven't yet. So now I'm going to ask you again to cancel it, and now I want my money back because you still haven't canceled it, and I'm not paying that.
How much were they authorized to give you back?
So they wouldn't give me any of my money back, but they were going to eliminate what I owed them, which was like $280. I fought and fought and fought and fought and fought. Fine, just wipe the bill out.
Right.
I'll move on with my life. It is.
So they make all this extra money.
Right. And I just got an email the other day that they sent me to collections for the $280.
Well, that was like they were getting ready to do that to me. Like
they sent me to collections.
If I literally wouldn't have signed up for the new internet service, that credit that they said they were going to give me would have went to collections.
Yeah, they sent me to collections.
You know, and that's a fucking scare tactic.
Yeah.
Because like as somebody that's trying to make moves, you don't want to go to collection.
I'm like,
even for $280 fucking bucks. But
I'm like, are you shitting me right now? Like,
yeah.
After all this, they sent me to collections over $280.
And now that we're in our 40s, and you're like I'm going to argue it one more time, but literally for $280.
So now I'm going to get back on the phone and fight with these people and be like, are you serious right now?
Right. And if it doesn't work, you're going to have to pay them the $280
the ransom.
to not ham up all these other things you got going on in life.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for people to get up in arms about a 50-year mortgage, you know what? Don't take a 50-year mortgage.
Then just don't take it. It's not, nobody's forcing you to.
It's an option.
Yeah, and if you're a good mortgage broker, which I'm seeing all these mortgage brokers that are like all up in arms about it, if you're a good mortgage broker, then lay out both all three options to your lender, to your borrower, and let them make the decision.
And maybe it does. Maybe it does open an option. Maybe it's 15, 30, 40, 45, 50, maybe it opens up a window.
But also, as an accountant, what I do because I work with a lot of investors and a lot of clients that are
I thought
homeowners.
about investors immediately.
Yeah, the problem is investors, a lot of times, like when I talk to investors, I'm telling them, put it in an LLC, which a lot of times when you're in an LLC, it doesn't even, a 30 years not even an option. Most of the time when a bank's dealing with with an LLC, they're looking at 10, 15,
commercial.
or 25. It's commercial. Yeah. So a 30 is not even on the table.
Yeah.
Because a bank's going to typically hold it. It's not even going to be fixed. It's going to be adjustable. I mean, it's a whole different ballgame.
I think my property's 5.
Yeah, it's
with a balloon.
25 with a 5-year adjustable rate. Yeah. So I mean, it's a commercial. It's a whole different ballgame. But when as an accountant, I'm going to sit down with that person and say, listen, exactly what I said before. You're looking at this 30-year loan. I would look at that as like, that's your minimum baseline payment. Here's how you can accelerate that payment when you can.
Right.
But if you have Christmas time and you need to buy some gifts for your kids, or you're unemployed, that's the amount of money that's your minimum, right? Yeah. That's what you're going to spend when shit hits the fan.
Work an 11-month year and be jolly in December. Whatever you got to do to make it make sense for you. But like, it's not the end of the world if that's what you got to do to get into a house. You know what I mean?
Or look at it like, hey, I'm smarter with my money than everybody else. So I'm going to take this 50-year loan at 6%, and I'm going to take that extra money every month, and I'm going to use it. I'm going to invest that money because I can make more than 6% on my money if I can take that $300 a month that I'm going to save, and I'm going to put it in this vehicle, and I'm going to make that money work for me.
Right. And I would say, like, you are my accountant. You're a very good accountant, and I don't think you get into the financial advisement game very much. Mm-mm. But like, find someone you trust. Get a financial advisor. I mean, we talked about it here. If you have negative debt, if you're $100,000 backwards, get a financial advisor.
Yeah.
If you have $100,000 that you don't know what to do with, get a financial advisor. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of the things I wish that I would have been. I'm such a hard worker, I think, that I'm like, fuck it, I'll just keep making money.
I think a lot of these people they're playing checkers and instead of playing chess. And you got to think about this as way more than, oh my God, the interest you're going to pay over 50 years. There's so much more to this than that. You really got to think this through and decide what's best. And hey, a 50-year loan may not be what's best for you.
Right.
If you're 80 years or 60 years old, yeah, maybe don't take a 50-year goddamn mortgage.
No, wait a second. If you're 60 and the bank's willing to give you 50,
maybe take it.
Take 2.
Yeah, maybe take it. But maybe it's not necessarily the best option for everybody. But hey, it's not necessarily a bad option for everybody.
Gone are the days where 5 guys worked 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 and then went and got beers after, and the pride factor is gone, and I don't owe anybody anything.
The idea that everybody buys a house and lives in it for 30 years and pays it off are gone. The same way that the days where I'm going to go to school, I'm going to get a job, and I'm going to work here for 30 years, and I'm going to retire, and that's gone too.
Right.
That we are in a new world, boy, and it's a changing.
Right. It's informative. Like, there's too much knowledge, and knowledge is readily available.
We need to understand that times change and we need to adapt.
Think about like when we had to do like a report on a country, what you did. Went to the library.
Get out the encyclopedia.
Yeah. Go to a friend's house where they had it in the basement laid out.
Now we just pull out ChatGPT and say, what do you know about it?
Yeah. I mean, and think about, like, we're pretty advanced at 40 comparative, but think about what our kids are going to be able to do with you. Huh. Like, hold my fucking beer, Dad. Let me show you what this phone will do, And, I worry about my kids being on, like, YouTube and stuff, and we moderate it pretty good. My wife, like, keeps deleting it and adding it. But, you know what? At some point, I kind of want to take the reins off them and be like, you know what? Go nuts, dude. If you can make money on the internet at 6 years old because you got into some black hole and it doesn't cost me a dime, kudos to you, And it's weird. We don't know where this world's going.
No.
But I will tell you this, a 50-year mortgage is not our biggest problem.
No.
I think that it has an upside. And I think that some people that don't like it are just because they're traditionalists.
Yeah.
Because can you imagine, like, I don't know when they went to 30 years, but
can't imagine they were giving out 30-year mortgages on
FDR.
Okay. Yeah, so like $3,000 homes, you couldn't get a 30-year mortgage.
I guess not.
Yeah.
One more thing I want to talk about.
What do you got, bud?
And maybe it'll be resolved by the time this airs, but I'm a little wound up about it because if I have to miss another Monday Night Football game because Disney and YouTube TV can't come up with an agreement, I'm going to be pretty wound up about it.
Oh, because what's going on with ESPN? They're not on Disney.
So here's what's going on.
Yeah, fill me in. I watch on ESPN.
So do you have just regular cable?
Yeah, I'm Comcast guy at home.
Comcast.
Getting ready to fire you, Comcast.
Yeah, maybe hold off. So here's the deal. Disney owns Hulu.
Okay.
Disney also owns... So Hulu has a live TV product. Disney also owns Fubo,
Okay.
which is also a live TV product. Disney obviously owns ESPN, which they're trying to push their ESPN app that also offers Monday Night Football games. Disney owns ABC. Disney is having a contract dispute with YouTube, which is owned by Google. During this contract dispute, YouTube and ESPN and Disney decided to pull all of the ABC, ESPN, Disney content off of YouTube TV indefinitely until the dispute is over. So if you watch ABC, ESPN, any ACC network, SEC network, any of that stuff that is broadcast by the ESPN and you have YouTube TV, it's gone.
Oh, she gone.
She gone.
Huh.
Okay. So I haven't been able to watch the pit games that have been broadcast on those channels. Haven't been able to watch Monday Night Football.
You didn't miss much on Monday Night Football.
No, but it's still irritating as fuck.
Yeah, it's you're paying for a service
And
that
I
before
can't.
you could.
Right.
If it never happened, fine. But
Right.
yeah, that's kind of fucked up.
Here's the way
Are they any closer?
YouTube TV came to the table and said, we would like to put your content back on until we can come to a resolution. And Disney said no. YouTube TV is not willing to pay Disney the amount of money that Disney wants for the content.
Oh, so there's no, they're just trying to sway users.
Exactly.
They're not
My
worried about
take is
money.
this. Disney owns 2 other live TV products.
Become a monopoly.
They're, in my eye, they're trying to sway people to cancel YouTube TV
Right.
and go to Hulu or Fubo,
Which creates monopoly.
which creates a monopoly. Or to just switch to the ESPN app, which is like $30 a month.
And how long has this gone on?
That I've missed 2 Monday Night Football games.
So the government shutdown's impacting Monday Night Football. That's what you're saying.
Well, I guess they might step in at some point. I don't know. But Disney from what I understand in my research, Disney's kind of bullying YouTube, Google, which is amazing to me that a company the size of Google is being bullied. But Disney is kind of bullying them and trying to force their users to switch over to their product.
I'm so confused at how Comcast stays relevant in this.
Because Comcast is paying the ransom. In as a consumer, it seems like in the court of public opinion, Disney is losing. From what I've been reading, subscriber base of Disney Plus and all the Disney products, the unsubscribes to the Disney products is going rampant. People are pissed because nobody wants to pay all this money. I switched to YouTube TV over the last year or so from Hulu with live TV because the price just got outrageous. And this was right after Disney announced price increases for both Hulu and Disney Plus.
Sounds like a lot of passwords to remember for me, man.
Dude, I'll tell you what. So many people, me included, decided years ago to cut cable, right? Get rid of Comcast, get rid of Fios, and switch to streaming services. Just get internet and get streaming services because it'll save money. But then it gets to a point where you have all these different streaming services, and you probably end up, if you itemize them all, spending more money than you would if you just had fucking cable.
Yeah.
By the time you pay for Netflix and Hulu and Disney and fucking YouTube with YouTube TV and Paramount Plus and Peacock and
I think I pay $230 a month for Comcast, and
I probably spend more than that.
that's my internet. I actually have a house phone. I don't know the number.
Yeah, because it has to be a bundle, probably.
Yeah.
The
Well, you
triple
save
play
$7
package or
for the
whatever.
bundle. They charge you $8 for the phone.
Yeah,
You save
$7.
Yeah,
It's free. It's
yeah,
free.
it's free.
You have to have it.
And fuck, you finance over 50 years, it's free.
Yeah. So
When is that coming out next? You just finance your cable service.
yeah, but so there's a lot of people that are all wound up about it.
I can't believe the NFL hasn't gotten involved yet.
I think the NFL,
Has picked a side.
well, they've kind of been a little bit in cahoots with the whole thing because they're trying to push people into their own bullshit.
Right. Well, I mean, when you started seeing it in college sports, like the Big Ten network, the ACC network, it's like, all right.
Well, a lot of that's owned by the ESPN.
Well, yeah. And you think about like the Pirates and Pittsburgh Sports Network, they had their problems, and regional sports died. You know, we're lucky to have it here with, what is it, FSN? It's not FSN. It's Pittsburgh.
AT&T Sports or whatever it is.
PSN, Pittsburgh Sports Network.
Yeah.
We're very like one of the few small market cities to have that. That's a big game. That might not end anytime soon. But if the Steelers play on Monday night, you won't miss it.
Because it'll be on local.
11, yeah.
It'll be on NBC.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been pretty
The reason I keep
aggravating.
cable personally is because I have the ability to record, pause, and watch.
I could do that with ESPN or with YouTube TV.
Well, like when they're Thursday night games, I can't pause them on Amazon Prime.
You can't pause them?
Mm-mm.
I don't ever do it.
I like pausing and put the kids to bed, fast forward through.
See, that's
halftime.
what's frustrating, and that's my issue with the NFL now, and that's why I think the NFL's kind of in cahoots with all this, is because you used to be able to just get cable and watch the NFL, but
Right.
now you have to have
the
you
Red
have to
Zone
have
package.
Prime.
this
You have to
package.
have. They had a game that was solely on YouTube TV this year. There's a game on Netflix this year. There's a game on Peacock this year. There's a game on, you have to have all these different streaming services just to be able to watch every NFL game. It's ridiculous, and it's all about money.
Right.
The highest bidder.
So like that's my gripe with ESPN. So like I haven't watched a Penguin game in like a year and a half, unless it was on when I was picking up takeout or whatever. But Ovechkin played Crosby, and Ovechkin's on this milestone goal. It might be one of the last times we see Ovechkin versus Crosby, which is the market for their whole sport for the last 20 years. And it was on like ESPN plus Zebra TV, and I'm like, I'm not even gonna bother looking for it, dude. Like if it's not on 843, I don't care, whatever. So they're gonna lose fans, they'll lose people, but yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah. So I haven't been able to watch Monday Night Football for the last 2 weeks, which is fine, whatever. And I'm just canceling every Disney-related product I have.
Yeah, my kids is like they watch a lot of. They play games. They YouTube. You try to YouTube kids, whatever. But we waste money on cable for if it wasn't for like just needing background noise.
Yeah, the only reason I even have YouTube TV is for football.
Right.
I mean, that's the only live TV I watch is football. Other than that, we stream everything. Everything's just, we binge watch shows at night and whatever service it happens to be on.
Well, I think back to like my grandmother always telling me like, people they don't ask how much anymore, right? They ask how many. And that's the world we live in. Because you're not asking YouTube. Nobody ever calls and is like, well, how much is it for the year? Like, because if you heard that number.
Well, see, that's kind of the nice thing about the streaming services.
Right.
Is
You
that
get in and out.
There's no contracts. You get in and out. So you can, you can do if there's a show you want to watch, it's on Netflix. You can sign up for it, watch the show. When you're done with the show, you cancel it. So you have it for 2 months, you're done. You just show on Paramount, you can watch it for 2 months, you're done.
Right.
And, you know, these iPhones, and I don't know anything about Androids because I've never had one, but, you know, they make it easy if you sign up on your phone because there's a subscriptions thing right in the settings. You can sign up, you can cancel it right there, bang.
Yeah, but they have algorithms like Pitt was a no, you know what? Penn State was playing Indiana, right? And I have Xfinity, so I have the Xfinity stream. I could watch Georgia play Mississippi on my TV at the store, but I couldn't live stream the Penn State Indiana game on the TV at the store because it was in market. And I'm like, when the fuck did I become in the Penn? When am I in the Altoona market? They just have it figured out. You know, that's what they do.
Can you do the one thing I liked about YouTube TV, which is one of the reasons I got it, is the they have like a picture-in-picture, a multi-mode. So if they it's
I can't handle that, man.
like it's nice when you end up when there's more than one game in your market. Sometimes that's not always common, but like if there's more than one NFL game being broadcast in your market at one time, you can have both games on and sound on in one.
Huh.
So if there's a commercial, you can just turn the sound on the other one. You can watch both games. And in my family room, I have like a 75-inch TV, so both games are a decent size. So you kind of keep an eye on both games. And you can actually, YouTube TV lets you split it into 4 screens. So if you have, 4 games going, you can actually watch all 4 games at one time.
In like our 20s, we used to just bring TVs in. There'd be like 3 TVs.
Don't do that anymore.
Stop. Yeah, I don't know. I hope they figure it out for your sake, but it doesn't sound like they have any initiative to really figure it out. It's going to be like pick a side. You're either with us or against us.
I don't know. It's getting pretty heated. So hopefully by the time this airs, it's all sorted out.
And maybe the government coming out of their shutdown will help.
Maybe.
They're just not going to have too many senators. They're going to get involved in this mix when they got their own mix going on. So, but, and then I wasn't even going to talk football tonight, and I just wanted to bring this up as like a little, we talked about some hard time, good time things with like credit and everything, but there was the unfortunate circumstance where a gentleman from the Cowboys ended up committing suicide. So because we're going to have this on the internet and people are going to listen to it, I just want to say the best advice we've ever gotten when you talk about this is wait a day. Just wait a day, right?
Yeah. That was given to me by one of our past guests, not because I was thinking about it, but actually a gentleman that we went to school with that took his own life. We were talking about it years and years ago. I had a conversation with Mr. Saxon, one of our past guests, and he said that something that he had always thought about whenever somebody was talking to him about, not that I don't think anybody was ever talking to him about committing suicide, but he was just talking. Like anytime he ever thought about, when somebody would think about doing that, he just always thought, just wait a day.
Yeah. Great advice.
Just wait a day.
And pick up the phone, dude. Like, if you think you're alone, just call someone. I mean, everybody has 1,000 contacts in their phone. Call somebody and tell them what you're really thinking. And whoever that person is, they're going to drop. Like, if you be honest with someone and you need someone, everybody's got somebody they could call. And it might hurt to say it out loud, but it's not going to hurt as much as what you're about to do.
Yeah. Like, just reach out to somebody, wait a day. Yeah. If you think today's the worst day and you wait a day.
Dude, hard conversation's better to have than no conversation.
Yeah.
So
anybody in your life that gets that news is going to wish you called them.
100%. Yeah. So I wanted to bring that up just because we air this and it's public knowledge. And I don't want anybody to go through listening to all our hacks and finance advice because, honestly, financial problems are probably one of the biggest problems people have.
Yeah.
It's a pride factor. It's a lot. There's a lot that goes into your finances.
Yeah. Nobody wants to talk about it. And like people are embarrassed. They're ashamed. Right. People make bad decisions, whether it's spending or gambling or drugs or whatever.
Yeah. You don't even need to do that. You just be in business. You know what I mean? You can just be a business owner. Like we talked about last episode, like there's ups and there's downs. There's ups and there's downs. Yeah. Some people are geared to live in the ups and never worry about the downs. Some people are geared to never even think about that they could go down. But other people are just like me personally, I'm just geared to like, tomorrow's going to be better because I'll work through it. You know, like that's what keeps me going. You know, like I'm not going to quit until they lock the door and like lock me up. I'm good. I got a fighting chance, you know. But I don't want people to think that there's not an option, you know. And I watched it with the NFL this weekend, which kind of made it like seem more of a public thing that I wanted to bring it up tonight. Is like every game had a moment of silence for that gentleman. Every home team said something about him. And I'm like, had he had known that in his darkest hour, he would have done what he did.
Hopefully, maybe not. Hopefully not.
Yeah. And what he did, though, is, and I know it for personal experience, what he did in that darkest moment sent a shockwave through a league with a lot of people that have mental issues that are like, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to be that guy, you know? So, like, unfortunately, he lost his life, but his life being lost has now probably saved 10, 15, 20, 1,000 people's lives.
Hopefully.
And you just think that, talk about it. Find someone to talk to. You know what I mean? We joke. This is our therapy session. That's my therapy part of the night. So keep fighting, man. Live the good life and love you, bud.
Love you too, bud.
Thank you for listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. Find and follow us on your preferred podcast streaming platform. Like and subscribe, and leave us a rating and review. You can join us socially on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. You can email the show at info@betweentwobridgespodcast.com. Until next time, make it till you rake it.
Oh, the green light's on. Fuck.